The headlights stayed far behind them at first. Small, almost harmless. But they did not disappear. Aaron kept his eyes on the road. Connor kept his eyes on the mirror. Neither of them spoke for several minutes. The highway stretched long and dark ahead. Fields on both sides. No houses. No traffic. Just empty land and thin moonlight. Maybe not them, Connor said quietly. Aaron did not answer right away. They followed too long, he said finally. Connor's ribs ached from the bumps in the road. His forehead throbbed where the stitches pulled. His knuckles were swollen. He felt tired in a deep way now. Not just body, mind, but sleep was not possible. Not with those lights behind them. After 10 minutes, the headlights grew closer. Not fast, just steady, matching speed. Aaron's jaw tightened. "White truck?" Connor asked. "Can't see yet." The road curved slightly. The truck behind adjusted smoothly. Still there. Still patient. Connor felt a strange calm come over him again. The same calm he felt in the ring. When everything slowed down. When fear became focus. "If they try to stop us," Connor asked. Aaron's voice was flat. "Then we don't stop." They drove for another 20 minutes. The highway sign ahead showed distance to Bangkok. Still hours away. Too far. Aaron suddenly turned off onto a smaller side road without signaling. Dust rose behind them. The headlights followed. No hesitation. "That answers it," Connor muttered. The smaller road was rougher. Less maintained. Trees closer to the sides. No lights at all now. Aaron turned off their headlights for a few seconds. Only moonlight guided them. Connor's heart jumped. "You trying to lose them?" "Yes." "You sure?" "No." The headlights behind disappeared briefly. Then came back stronger. Brighter. Closer. They were accelerating now. The white truck pulled closer within minutes. Now Connor could see clearly. Same shape. Same height. It was them. No doubt. The truck honked once. Short. Sharp. Like a warning. Aaron pressed harder on the gas. The engine growled. The road narrowed. Potholes everywhere. The truck behind did not slow. They were used to this terrain. Connor grabbed the door handle as they hit a deep hole. Pain shot through his ribs. He clenched his teeth. "We can't outrun them like this," he said. "I know." Ahead, the road split. One path led back toward the highway. The other toward deeper countryside. No signs. No clear direction. Aaron made a decision in a second. He turned left. Deeper. The truck followed immediately. The distance closed fast. Headlights now filled the inside of their cab. Too bright. Too close. Connor turned slightly and saw silhouettes inside the truck. At least 3 men. Maybe 4. One arm moved out the window briefly. Holding something. Metal glinted under moonlight. Not a gun. Too short. A pipe. Or a bat. Connor's stomach tightened. "They're not just scaring us," he said. "No." Aaron's hands were steady on the wheel. But sweat ran down his temple. The truck suddenly swerved slightly. Tapped their rear bumper. Lightly. A warning hit. The car shook. Connor's heart slammed. "They want us off-road," he said. "Yes." Another bump. Harder this time. The back end of their pickup slid slightly before Aaron corrected it. The trees on both sides felt too close now. Too unforgiving. One mistake and it would end badly. The white truck pulled to the side suddenly, trying to come up next to them. Aaron swerved to block. The vehicles nearly touched. Metal scraped briefly. Sparks flashed. Connor looked over and locked eyes with the driver of the white truck. It was not the promoter. It was the bigger man from the first warehouse fight. The one he knocked out. His face still swollen, cut partially healed. His expression empty, focused. No anger, just intent. The white truck surged forward again, this time pulling slightly ahead, trying to block them. Aaron slammed the brakes suddenly. Their pickup slid sideways slightly. The white truck overshot by a few meters. In that split second, Aaron turned the wheel hard. They veered off the dirt road entirely, into a narrow path between trees. Branches scraped loudly against the sides. Connor ducked instinctively. The white truck hesitated behind, too wide to follow easily. Aaron kept driving, branches slapping the windshield, leaves flying. The path was barely visible, just a faint trail through tall grass. After almost a minute of rough driving, the engine began to struggle. Mud. The tires slipped. Aaron pressed gently, not too hard. Slow, controlled. Behind them, headlights searched between trees, but did not enter. The white truck engine revved once, then faded. Silence. They waited, listening. No engine came closer. No footsteps. Nothing. Only insects again, and their own breathing. They did not move for several minutes. "Stay," Aaron whispered. Connor nodded. He felt the adrenaline slowly leave his body, leaving behind shaking hands, dry mouth, deep exhaustion. Finally, Aaron turned off the engine completely. Total darkness, only moonlight through branches. "You think they gone?" Connor asked quietly. For now. They stepped out slowly. The air smelled like wet soil. Thick trees surrounded them. Far from any road now. Far from lights. Aaron walked a few meters back carefully. Listened. Then returned. "They not follow here," he said. Connor leaned against the truck, pain in his ribs sharp again. "That wasn't about money," Connor said quietly. Aaron shook his head. "No, that was about control." "Yes." They stood there in the dark forest for a long time, not talking, just breathing. The reality had changed again. This was no longer just about fights. This was about pride, reputation. The promoter had been embarrassed. Twice. In front of men with money. That kind of embarrassment costs more than cash. It costs power. And power fights back. They decided to wait an hour before moving again, just to be safe. Connor sat on the hood of the truck, looking up through the trees at the thin slice of sky. "I didn't expect this," he said quietly. "What'd you expect?" Aaron asked. "Hard training, tough fights, maybe losing, maybe winning." Aaron nodded slowly. "Thailand has both," he said. "And this. This too." Connor thought about that, about how he had romanticized everything before arriving. The discipline, the culture, the honor. He had seen those things, but he had also seen the other side. Debt, gambling, control, fear. Growing up wasn't about becoming strong in the ring. It was about seeing the full picture and choosing who to be anyway. After an hour, they carefully turned the truck around and slowly made their way back toward the road. No headlights, just moonlight guiding them. When they reached the dirt road again, it was empty. No white truck. No sound. They drove back toward the highway. But neither of them relaxed. Not fully. Because they both understood something now. The promoter would not chase wildly again. He would wait. He would plan. He would use other methods. The system was patient, and they were still inside it. As they reached the main highway again, far in the distance ahead, blue and red lights flashed. A police checkpoint. Aaron slowed slightly. Connor's stomach tightened. At this hour, on this road, the timing felt too perfect, too clean. Aaron looked at him. "They fast," he said quietly. The police lights flickered steadily in the distance, blocking half the road, forcing cars to slow. There were only 2 cars ahead of them. Both stopped, officers moving around them, checking papers, shining lights inside. Connor's pulse began to rise again. "They say visa problem," Aaron reminded him. Connor swallowed. "Yeah." The truck rolled forward slowly toward the checkpoint. An officer stepped into the road and raised a hand, signaling them to stop. Behind them, far down the highway, headlights appeared again. The officer's flashlight hit Connor's face first. Bright. Blinding. Too bright after the darkness of the forest. Aaron lowered his window slowly. The officer leaned down. He was young, clean uniform, calm face, but his eyes did not look curious. They looked prepared. "Where you go?" he asked in Thai. "Bangkok," Aaron replied. "Why?" "Family business." The officer nodded slightly. Then his flashlight shifted to Connor again. "You passport." Connor's throat felt dry. He reached slowly into his bag, pulled out the passport. His hands were steady. Years of fighting helped with that. The officer took it, opened it, flipped pages. Slow. Very slow. Too slow. Behind them, the headlights that had appeared earlier were now closer. Connor did not turn around. He didn't need to. He knew. The white truck stopped about 50 meters back, far enough to pretend coincidence, close enough to watch. The officer kept flipping pages. Then he frowned slightly. "You overstay," he said calmly. Connor blinked. "No, I renewed last week." The officer tilted the passport slightly. "There's no stamp here." Connor leaned forward. "There is page 12. The officer flipped back, paused, then shook his head. "This expired." "It's not expired." The officer straightened up. Another older officer walked over. He took the passport without speaking, looked at it briefly, then looked at Connor. Long, silent. Connor felt that same cold calm settle in his chest. Not panic. Not yet. Just awareness. "This problem," the older officer said. "We need check more." Aaron kept his voice even. "We just go Bangkok, we fix there." The older officer's eyes shifted past them, down the road, toward the white truck. Only for half a second. But Connor saw it. The connection. Small. Quiet. But there. "We check here," the officer said. He handed the passport back, but kept his hand on the door. "Step out." Connor stepped out slowly. The night air felt heavy again. 2 more officers stood near the side of the road, watching. Not aggressive. Just waiting. The older officer gestured toward the back of the truck. "Open." Aaron obeyed. Inside were only training bags, clothes, Raps. Nothing illegal. Nothing strange. The officers looked anyway. Too carefully. Too thoroughly. The younger officer walked around Connor, flashlight moving over his body, his bruised ribs, the stitches on his forehead. "Fight?" the officer asked. "Yes," Connor said calmly. "Where?" "Chiang Mai." "Illegal fight." "No." The officer stared at him, then looked at the older one. Something unspoken passed between them. Behind them, the white truck's door opened. One of the men stepped out. The large one, the same one Connor had knocked out weeks earlier. He leaned casually against the truck, watching, not hiding, not pretending, just watching. The older officer noticed Connor's glance. He followed it, saw the man, then looked back at Connor. "You know him?" he asked. Connor paused, just long enough. "Yes." The officer raised an eyebrow. "Friend?" "No." The officer nodded slowly, then turned to Aaron. "You two come with us, small check at station." Connor's chest tightened. This was not random. This was arranged. He could feel it now. Aaron hesitated. "Station far?" he asked. 20 minutes. The older officer's tone was calm, almost bored. But there was no room to argue. Two officers had already positioned themselves near the truck doors. Not aggressive, just blocking options. Connor looked toward the white truck again. The large man was smiling faintly. Not angry, not loud, just satisfied. Connor understood now. This was smarter than chasing on dirt roads. No violence, no public scene, just paperwork, delay, pressure, fear. You don't beat a fighter in the ring. You squeeze him outside of it. They followed the police car to a small rural station. Old building, dim lights, one ceiling fan turning slowly inside. It felt too quiet, too controlled. Inside, they were asked to sit. Connor's passport was taken again. An officer began typing slowly on an old computer. Aaron sat beside him, silent. The older officer leaned back in his chair. "You fight good," he said casually. Connor looked at him. "You saw?" The officer smiled faintly. "Video." "Of course." The fight in the warehouse. It had been filmed. Everything is filmed now. "That fight caused problem," the officer continued. "For who?" Connor asked. The officer did not answer directly. Instead, he turned the monitor slightly. "So, your visa renewal not in system?" Connor leaned forward. "That's impossible." The officer shrugged. "Maybe mistake." Aaron spoke carefully. "He renew legal, we have receipt." He reached into his bag, pulled out folded papers. The officer took them, looked briefly, set them aside. "We check tomorrow," he said. "You stay here tonight." Connor felt heat rise in his chest. No reason for that. The officer leaned forward. Now his tone changed slightly. "You foreigner, visa problem, we decide reason." Silence filled the room. The fan above creaked softly. Connor's fists clenched slightly. Not in anger. In calculation. Fighting here would destroy everything. Aaron gently touched his arm. A small signal. "Wait." An hour passed. They were not placed in a cell. Just told to sit. No phones. No calls. The large man from the white truck eventually entered the station. Not with aggression. just walking in like someone comfortable. He spoke quietly to the older officer in the corner. Low voices, short sentences. Money changed hands. It was subtle, but clear. Connor watched without stirring. His jaw tightened. So this was the real fight. Not gloves, not rules. Influence, connections, systems. The large man glanced at Connor, held his gaze, then left, calm, satisfied. The older officer returned to the desk. He picked up the passport again, looked at Connor, then at Aaron. "You lucky," he said casually. "System update just come." He stamped something quickly, closed the passport, handed it back. "Visa fine." Connor stared at him. "Just like that?" "Yes," the officer said. "Small mistake." Aaron stood slowly. "Thank you," he said politely. The officer nodded, but he added quietly, "You careful where you fight." Connor understood. This was a warning. Not from police. From someone else. They walked back to the truck. The sky was beginning to lighten slightly in the east. Almost dawn. Connor sat in the passenger seat. Silent. Aaron started the engine. They drove away without speaking for several minutes. Finally, Connor said quietly, "They can reach anywhere." "Yes." "They can stop fights." "Yes." "They can stop visas." "Yes." Connor looked out the window. Fields passing slowly now in early gray light. "So what do we do?" Aaron kept his eyes on the road. "We choose." "Choose what?" "Be scared or be clear." Connor leaned back in his seat. "Be scared or be clear." Simple words, but heavy. He had come to Thailand to test himself. He thought that meant surviving punches, pain, exhaustion. But this was different. This was about whether he would let fear decide his path, whether he would accept being pushed quietly out, or stand his ground carefully, smartly, without ego, without rage, just clarity. The sky slowly turned pink on the horizon. Bangkok still hours away, but closer now. And as the sun rose fully, Connor felt something new settle inside him. Not anger, not fear, resolve. Because now he knew the shape of the real opponent. And it wasn't just a man in a ring. 2 hours later, as they approached the outer edges of Bangkok, Aaron's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then frowned. "What?" Connor asked. Aaron didn't answer immediately. He read the message again, then handed the phone to Connor. It was from an unknown number. A simple message in English. "Last warning, leave Thailand before the tournament, or next time there is no checkpoint, there is no paperwork." Connor stared at the screen. The morning traffic around them felt distant, muted. Aaron's voice was quiet. "They serious now?" Connor handed the phone back slowly. His ribs ached. His face throbbed. His body was tired, but his mind was sharp. "They think fear works," he said quietly. Aaron glanced at him. "And?" Connor looked ahead at the Bangkok skyline, slowly rising in the distance. "And maybe it does." A pause. But not this time. Bangkok rose slowly in front of them. At first, it was just a faint shape on the horizon. Then taller buildings appeared. Then traffic thickened. Then noise returned. Motorbikes weaving. Street vendors opening carts. The world felt normal again. But Connor knew it was not. The message still sat in Aaron's phone. Short, clear, final warning. No checkpoint next time. No paperwork. Connor rested his head back against the seat. He did not feel brave. He did not feel reckless. He just felt tired of being pushed. They drove straight to a gym on the edge of the city. Old building. Tin roof. The name painted in fading red letters. Not famous. Not rich. But real. The owner, an older man named Samchai, greeted Aaron with a tight hug. He looked at Connor's face and frowned. "You fight war?" he asked. "Something like that," Connor said softly. Samchai led them inside. The gym smelled like sweat and old leather. Heavy bags hung low. Fans turned slowly above. Two young boys were already skipping rope. Morning training had begun. Life continued, even when threats followed you down highways. They sat in Samchai's small office. Aaron explained everything quietly. The warehouse fights, the promoter, the police checkpoint, the message. Samchai listened without interrupting. When Aaron finished, the room was silent. Samchai leaned back in his chair. "Tournament is real," he said finally. Connor looked up. "Yes. Very real, big money, big crowd, national TV." "When?" Connor asked. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That was nothing. Not enough time to fully heal. Not enough time to prepare perfectly. But enough time to decide. "And the promoter?" Connor asked. Samchai's eyes darkened slightly. "He sponsors half of fighters." Connor nodded slowly. So it was bigger than they thought. Not just local underground. He had money in official arenas too. "He cannot control everything," Samchai added. "But he can make life difficult." Connor thought about the message again. Leave Thailand before the tournament. Or next time there is no paperwork. He felt a quiet anger now. Not loud. Not explosive. Just steady. Training began that same afternoon. No special treatment. No speeches. Just work. Slow pad rounds first. Testing the ribs. They hurt, but not sharp. Manageable. Light sparring. Footwork. Clinching. Connor moved carefully at first. But after a few rounds, something shifted. The fear from the night before turned into focus. Every strike felt clear. Every movement precise. He was no longer chasing a dream. He was defending something. His choice. His right to stand in that ring. After training, he sat alone by the ring. Sweat cooling on his skin. Bangkok traffic humming faintly outside. Samchai sat beside him. "You scared?" the old man asked. Connor did not lie. "Yes." Samchai nodded. "Good." Connor looked at him. "Good. If no fear, you stupid." Connor smiled slightly. "That makes sense." Samchai's voice stayed calm. "But fear must not choose for you." Connor thought about that for a long moment. Fear must not choose for you. 3 days passed. No more trucks. No more checkpoints. But the message spread quietly. Whispers in gyms. Fighters hearing about the foreigner who embarrassed the wrong man. Some looked at Connor with respect. Others with caution. A few with distance. The promoter's influence moved quietly through the city. Then, on the 4th night, it happened. After evening training, as Connor walked alone to a small street stall to buy food, a motorbike stopped beside him. 2 riders, helmets on. One jumped off. Fast. Too fast to react. The first punch hit Connor's ribs. Pain exploded. He staggered but did not fall. The second man tried to grab him. Connor moved on instinct. Years of drills. He pivoted, elbowed backward, connected with someone's face. A shout. A third figure stepped from the shadows. Not part of the motorbike. Waiting, holding a metal rod. The street was dim. Few people nearby. This was not random. It was organized. The rod swung. Connor barely raised his arm in time. Metal hit bone. Shock traveled through his body. He stepped inside. Closed distance. Knee to stomach. The attacker folded, but another grabbed him from behind, dragging him toward the alley. Connor's lungs burned. His ribs screamed. This was not a ring. No referee. No rules. Just chaos. He stomped backward hard, connected with a shin. The grip loosened. He twisted free. Another swing of the rod. This time he caught the wrist. Twisted sharply. The rod clattered to the ground. A car horn blasted nearby. Lights flashed. Someone shouting. The attackers froze for half a second, then ran. Back to the motorbike. Engine roared. Gone. Vast. Silent again. Connor stood alone in the street, breathing hard, arm throbbing, ribs on fire, blood running from a small cut above his eyebrow again. He looked down at the metal rod on the ground. It was not about scaring him anymore. It was about breaking him. Slowly, carefully, without headlines, without witnesses. He picked up the rod, held it for a moment, then dropped it. He did not call the police. He did not shout. He simply walked back to the gym. Slowly, carefully, each step heavy. Aaron saw him first, ran toward him. What happened? Connor sat down on the gym steps. They tried again. Samche came out, listened, nodded once, no surprise in his eyes. They escalate, he said. Connor laughed quietly. Feels like that. Aaron's jaw tightened. This too much, you leave. Connor looked at him. Really looked. You think it stops if I leave? Aaron did not answer. Because he knew. It would not. Maybe for Connor, but not for the next fighter who refused to throw a match. Not for the next kid who believed in something simple and clean. This wasn't about pride anymore. It was about drawing a line. Calmly, without ego, without anger, just clear. Connor stood slowly. His body hurt. His arm would bruise badly. But nothing was broken. I fight, he said quietly. Aaron closed his eyes for a moment, then nodded. Then we fight smart. The tournament announcement came officially 2 days later. Big banner outside a major stadium. Posters everywhere. National names. Champions. And one foreigner. Connor's picture. Small. Bottom corner. But there, the promoter's company logo sat at the top of the poster. Smiling faces. Bright colors. Money behind it all. The message came again that night. Same number. Last chance. Connor did not reply. He deleted it and went to train. The night before weigh-ins, Connor stood alone in the empty stadium. Samche had arranged a quiet visit. The seats were dark, empty. The ring sat under a single light. Silent, peaceful. He stepped inside, walked slowly to the center, closed his eyes. He could almost hear the future crowd. The noise, The pressure, the promoter watching from ringside, waiting to see if fear finally won. Connor opened his eyes. He did not feel like a hero. He did not feel fearless. He felt human, bruised, tired, growing. This was not the story he imagined when he left Europe. It was harder, darker, more complicated, but it was real. And real is where growth happens. He rested his gloves on the top rope, took one slow breath, and whispered to himself, "Be clear, not brave, not angry, clear,